Hello, Euro Fantasy Leaguers. We're back once again. This is 2 weeks in a row, bringing you the update on the Premier League, La Liga and Serie A. It is, of course, the Euro Fantasy League Podcast, and I'm Jamie McLean, joined as always in person. Present is Mr. David Fennick. Hello, Dave.
Hi, Jamie. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. All the better for seeing you, Dave.
I've got my shorts on. I don't know whether I've jumped the gun, man.
I know. I thought the lights were on in the room, actually. We'll be right back. Yes, welcome back. I've got my sunglasses on now, Dave, so we'll get cracking with the show. And it just feels so weird because we were only here last week.
I know.
After a 3-week absence,
They're getting the money's worth, huh?
So, like I say, we're here on the Euro Fantasy League Podcast, bringing you your, well, at the moment weekly, normally fortnightly update on the Premier League, Serie A and La Liga with a fantasy twist. All the stats coming from EuroFantasyLeague.com, and you can find us, as you probably already have done. We're on iTunes, Acast, Google Play, Podcast Addict, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, YouTube, and now, Dave, we're on iHeartRadio as well. Okay. So that's, you don't know what that is, do you?
I didn't know what the 10 things were previously.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. But yes, we are. We're on all of those platforms. So if you can find us, subscribe if you haven't already done so. It's all free of charge. And if you can leave us a rating and review, ideally a 5-star, that would be absolutely fantastic. Just takes 2 minutes of your time, and it helps us out absolutely hugely. So that's it. We're here for the next show, and I've got a couple of clues for you, Dave, to get the name game going before we get into the weekend winners. So I'm not sure whether this is a really good one or a really easy one. So
let's hope it's an easy one.
Well, I'm hoping it's the other way. So this player was born on the 18th of November 1963. And his first job was in the dyeing department at a textile factory, but he left there due to his own concerns about their safety policies.
So he's about 54 then?
54, yes. He'll be 55
Textiles,
later this year.
Will that be in the Manchester area?
I couldn't possibly say. You're going to find out more information
that was big
as we go.
In that time. So
was it? Oh, I don't know.
Textiles, I think. Yeah,
genuinely don't know. Not to give anything away, but I genuinely don't know.
Okay.
So there you go. A bit before my time, Dave.
All right. Okay, so that boot in the ribs.
So right, shall we get going with the weekend winners then before we get into a slanging match here? So we've gone for usual 3 weekend winners, and the first one we've gone for Dave Olivier Giroud at Chelsea.
Yeah, scored 2, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He's at Chelsea, 10 million, 8 points. Came off the bench, so I know you've taken the mick out of us a little bit in the past for liking substitute players, but I think he's worthy of it. He came off the bench, scored 2 goals to help Chelsea come back from 2-0 down at Southampton to win 3-2. They were his first league goals for Chelsea as well. Great bit of business for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had a big impact on Saturday coming off the bench there, and I think the reason he probably left Arsenal was because first team opportunities were limited, and I think he'll have one eye on his World Cup place for France this summer, So, but he hasn't played too much at Chelsea neither, so it's a bit of a strange one for him, but he's done himself no harm there on Saturday.
Oh, no, he definitely hasn't. I know the Chelsea fans were loving him, listening to their talk shows afterwards, absolutely loving him. Were Arsenal a bit silly to let him go?
It happens, doesn't it, and Arsene Wenger obviously couldn't find a place for him in the side, which I found quite amazing because I always rated the lad as a striker,
Yeah.
And it happens in football, and he's moved on, and good luck to the lad.
Yeah, absolutely. So Olivier Giroud there, the first weekend winner, and he's joined by another Premier League star. I should say, actually, with all these Premier League stars knocking about, refer to EPL-fantasy.com for the Premier League only game. So the second Premier League star we've got here, Ayoze Perez at Newcastle.
Yeah, and he's been behind lately. Newcastle, I think they've had 4 wins on the belt, for which a team in their position at the time, that's amazing in the Premiership, and he's shown some consistency even to his game, because all the Newcastle fans weren't convinced by him. He's been there a little while now, but he's now starting to back up his performances with goals and done very well of late.
Yeah, he has. Well, he scored one and set the other up as Newcastle, as you say, got the 4th league win in a row. Took them past the hallowed 40-point mark.
Yeah, they're
as
safe
well.
now.
All but securing it mathematically. Arsenal's away record's been awful, though.
Oh, Arsenal, I was about to say, they've lost their last 5 away games. All losses, and they are the only team in the whole top 4 divisions not to have gained a point away from home in 2018.
That's absolutely bizarre, isn't it? It's incredible for a team like Arsenal. So yeah, we'll go with that then. Jose Perez, 5 million, and as I say, 6 points. And they're joined by Benevento striker. He's a familiar face this now, Dave, isn't he? He's becoming a regular figure.
He was here last week, wasn't he?
Chick Diabate, yeah, absolutely.
29-year-old Malian, on loan from Osmanlıspor in Turkey.
That's
did
right.
the business again.
Yeah, 8 points. Like I say, it doesn't normally happen that we have the same player in consecutive episodes, but 2 goals for Benevento as they earned a 2-2 draw at Sassuolo. It still looks like there's a little bit too little too late for Benevento.
Yeah,
of course, we're just waiting for the...
Yep.
For the guarantee, but they are fighting.
They're gone, and I was just thinking, he's 29-year-old now. With these goals he's popping in, could he get a last move at the sort of end of his last, maybe he's a 3-year contract at somebody if he's
we'll see.
banging these goals in?
29-year-old, he could be a Teddy Sheringham type man. He could be playing for another 10 years yet. But yeah, he's certainly, the form he's showing at the moment shows that he's clearly a player that can get the job done when the backs are up against the wall. So Chick Diabate there, rounding off the weekend winners. So before we go to a quick break, Dave, I'm going to give you a couple more clues. Okay. So this gentleman began his senior career playing for his local side, Gladsaxe Heroes. He then moved to Fidovre, where he scored 6 goals in 78 games before moving to Brøndby in 1987. That was the same year he made his international debut for Denmark.
I think, yep. I think I'm getting there. But
You're getting there?
Yeah,
well, just to recap there. So Fidovre, 6 goals in 78 games, then on to Brøndby in 1987. So... so I'm going to leave it at that now, because if you're sort of trying to hone it in already, I'm not going to give you the next clue yet.
I'm not saying I've got it, but I've got some ideas.
All right, okie dokie then. So what we're going to do, we're going to go for a quick break, and we're going to come back for our roundup section, where we're going to be joined by Chloe Beresford, of course, a very, very good Serie A journalist. Have you read any of her work, Dave?
She's good, yeah.
She
knows
is
what she's talking about,
Serie A writer and editor for The Sportsman, Mundial Mag, Guardian Sport, and a big Fiorentina fan. So we're going to get our take on all of that. So that's all coming up right after this. Okay, welcome back to the Euro Fantasy League podcast. So we're doing our little roundup now, Dave. This is where we go on our little holidays, going around the continent, weighing up things that have gone on in the top 3 top flights. And like I say, we've got Chloe coming in a little bit to talk about Serie A. So would you like to start in the Premier League? Because something happened at the weekend in the Premier League, didn't it?
Yeah, basically, Manchester City, we knew they were going to win the title, but we didn't think it'd be this weekend. But West Brom win at Manchester United 1-0, and that gifted the title to Man City. And
real result. West Brom have got a good record at Old Trafford as well.
Yeah, they have. And I think I touched on it last week. I said Darren Moore. I knew someone that had done the coaching badges with Darren Moore. He was a well-respected coach, a good coach. And since he's gone there, they've got 4 points.
Yeah,
you know,
they've looked different team, haven't they?
A win and a draw, and you wonder why people keep employing people like Alan Pardew and people like that, you know. But but anyway, we'll talk about Man City's part of it. The 3rd title in 7 years, and the title hasn't been won this early for 17 years.
That's really good. That is.
Yeah.
It's a surprise.
And West Brom, as you say, at Manchester United, their first away win in 16 attempts, a 12-match streak without victory that included 11 straight defeats. So West Brom's done the business there, going to Manchester United. It's freed the title up for Man City, and we knew that was coming. And of course, Man City, kept their side of the bargain by winning at Wembley on Saturday.
Of course,
Saturday
another
night
good result.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
Saturday
the
night,
late kick-off, yeah.
And they won 3-1 against Spurs with your mate Ericsson getting the Spurs goal.
I suspect there's something to be said about Christian Eriksen at this point while we're here. We did discuss on the last episode about Eriksen getting the 2 goals, and you were saying no, Harry Kane and all of that, and it's since been awarded to Harry Kane. So well done, Dave. You were right. I've got something to say about it.
I would love to say I told you so, but I won't say that. But I've
just did, literally just did, yeah. But no, what my point is, I know that Harry Kane is going for this 3rd consecutive Golden Boot. He's vying to be the first player since Thierry Henry to get it, and this would just help out with another goal. Take Harry Kane out of this equation, right? Not physically, but imagine the player who was there was not Harry Kane. It was an opposing defender.
Right.
Eriksen's taken the free kick. If that contact has been made by the opposing defender, I find it very hard to believe it would be assigned as an own goal.
You think so?
Yeah, I find it very hard to believe.
There's a bit of a conspiracy to get Harry Kane there.
Not a conspiracy. I can understand why he wants to do it. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I just personally, I stick by my guns. That's all I'm doing. I'm fighting Christian Eriksen's corner for him.
All right. Moving on. Arsenal, Newcastle, we've touched on that when we spoke about Jose Perez, and Newcastle came from behind 1-0 down. That's Newcastle's 4th straight win, and Wenger not very happy. He blasted that we aren't going to use the VAR system because they claimed they should have had a penalty when Lascelles handled when Arsenal were leading 1-0. So Wenger not happy there. No. West Brom, J. Rodriguez with his goal win at Manchester United. Southampton, I worry for them. 2-0 up against Chelsea, and that must have been a kick in the proverbials when Chelsea have come back to win that one 3-2.
Especially when Chelsea could have been down to 10 men as well. That foul by our old friend Marcus Alonso on Shane Long. Yeah. And that could easily have been a red card.
Burnley, 5th straight win, and they're only 2 points behind Arsenal now. 2 early goals for them, and they saw off Leicester 2-1. Swansea and Everton a 1-1 draw. Palace and Brighton, that derby match we mentioned last year.
Last year?
Last week. It was
wow.
Last week. Palace beat Brighton 3-2, and again, Zaha instrumental, scored one of the goals.
Excellent.
And Palace, as we've said on numerous occasions, they're a much better side with Zaha in their team. Now, I saw a link for him to Spurs in the summer.
Wouldn't surprise me too much. I think that could be a good move. Yeah.
If I was going to tell you Liverpool beat Bournemouth 3-0, which 3 separate scorers do you think would be on that score sheet?
Well, it was obviously going to be Firmino, Salah, and I forget the first one. Mane, of course. It was going to be Mane, wasn't it? Yeah, Firmino, Salah and Mane.
That.
Yes.
I mean, it was always going to happen, them 3, and it was interesting to see on the bench there, Firmino and the other lad, Mane, were discussing the goal celebrations and sort of one was showing the other how he should be dancing when he's celebrating after they'd been substituted. So they were both sitting on the bench talking about the celebration and all that, so shows things. There's a bit of good camaraderie.
A bit of brotherhood there.
At Anfield with them too. And then West Ham play Stoke as we're recording today, Monday. They play Stoke tonight, West Ham. So
that result will be in the books by the time you're listening to this, but at the moment we don't know how that's going to pan out.
That's quite a vital game.
Yeah, massive.
Man City are champions on 87 points, Man United second 71, Liverpool 70, Spurs 67, Chelsea 60. Then the bottom reading up, West Brom 24, Stoke 27, Southampton 28, Swansea 33, Palace and West Ham both on 34, Huddersfield 35, Brighton 35.
I've just got to say before we leave the Premier League, I'm very much looking forward to what now looks pretty likely of Burnley being in Europe next season. I think that's going to be good.
We didn't mention the Huddersfield result neither, did we?
Did we not?
I think Huddersfield beat Watford 1-0. Late goal from Tom Ince.
Tom Ince, came on as a sub.
I think it was added on time.
Yeah. Tom Ince coming on as a sub and getting a massive winner just there. So, Huddersfield and Brighton, they've got a 7-point gap over Southampton, who are 18th. Though Southampton have got a game in hand over Huddersfield at least. So
yep, and then there's fixtures this week in the Premier League on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night,
every day,
and then Saturday and Sunday. There's sort of it's not a full fixture list due to the FA Cup semi-finals between Manchester United and Spurs on Saturday,
just got
and
the
Chelsea
2 games.
Southampton on Sunday.
So there we go. So there's the Premier League, and what have we got going on in La Liga?
La Liga, yeah. There was a full fixture list, and again, they've got midweek fixtures, then Saturday fixtures as well. But theirs is a bit reduced due to the Copa del Rey final between Seville and Barca, and that's next Saturday night. But yeah, this weekend, Real Betis won 1-0 at Girona, Seville 2-2 with Villarreal. Villarreal were 2-0 up. Steven Nzonzi with the equaliser for Seville. Barcelona first, playing Valencia third at the time. Barcelona came out on top that one, 2-1. They were 2-0 up before late penalty consolation for Valencia, and the Barcelona scorers Luis Suarez and Umtiti. Leganés beat Celta Vigo 1-0. Las Palmas lost at home to Real Sociedad 1-0. Atletico Bilbao 2, Deportivo 3. Alvarez with 2 early goals, putting Deportivo on the way. Eibar 0, Alaves 1, and Atletico Madrid beat Levante 3-0. Torres and Griezmann on target. And Getafe beat Espanyol 1-0. Damian Suarez, the fullback, hitting a screamer from 25 yards.
Brilliant.
And then the late one last night, Real Madrid won at Malaga 2-1. Real Madrid were comfortable, led 2-0. Isco, one of the scorers, and Malaga got their goal in stoppage time. So the league table, Barca on 82 points, Atletico Madrid 71, Real Madrid 67, Valencia 65, Real Betis 52, and the bottom, Malaga 17, Las Palmas 21, Deportivo 26, Levante 31. And I'm not going to go through all the fixtures, but there is a full midweek fixtures and fixtures at the weekend, and the Copa del Rey final, as I've mentioned, Seville versus Barca on Saturday night.
Okie doke, fantastic. So there's La Liga, and now Dave, for the Serie A roundup, we've got a bit of help today.
Oh, you're saying I need it?
Yes, yes, I think you need it. Absolutely, definitely. We're joined here by Chloe Beresford. Hello there, Chloe. How are you doing?
Hi.
Hi, Chloe.
Now, Chloe, as we say, you're the Serie A expert on the show here today. We like to pretend, don't we, Dave? But it never quite comes across too believable. So we do enjoy the Serie A, but like I say, we're wanting to get you on here and get your take on how things are going. So obviously I'll quickly introduce Chloe, Serie A writer and editor for The Sportsman, featured in Mondial Mag, Guardian Sport, a big fan of Fiorentina as well. I've got to say, Chloe, before we get started though, I've been reading your work for a little while, but I really did, I don't want to say enjoy, I suppose, but I followed a lot of your work in the aftermath of Davide Astori's passing, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So thank you for all the coverage of that. Really dark day for Fiorentina that was, wasn't it?
It was, it's just something you never expect to happen, and, it was all very surreal, but I think, as a club, they dealt with it very well, and, they just honoured him in the best way that they could, and the results have been good on the pitch. They've had 5 wins and a draw since he died, so I think, they're going out there and they're doing it for him,
Doing it for him, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, Chloe, it looks like the group has sort of been more united and come together since the sad passing of him.
Absolutely, yeah. It's quite a new team, really. They're a young side. The club sold off a lot of the long-standing players in the summer, which caused a lot of controversy with the fans, and brought in a lot of young players on lower wages to sort of save money, really. And it was difficult at first because there's a new manager as well, and he was trying to get them to gel. And I think Astori, as the captain, sort of helped them all because he was 31, a little bit older. And I think since that tragic event, I think they've all stepped up, and they've unfortunately they've now got something in common. They've got something that ties them together, and you can just see that they play for each other. they go out there and just give absolutely everything because they're trying to honour his memory. And I guess if something like that has to happen, at least something positive can come out of it at the end.
Yeah, I think just like you've mentioned before, Chloe, was the club's hierarchy seemed to have a commitment to the youth and give youth a chance. And I was just wondering, there's a couple of players I'm going to ask you about. One is he's out for the season now with a broken leg. I just didn't quite understand how Simone Lofaso, who was on loan from Palermo, the pacey winger. It seemed like Stefano Pioli, the manager, coach, call him what you like, was preferring Cyril Theroux to him before he got a chance, and then has since fractured his leg. I didn't really understand that.
No, I suppose in a young side, I think with Terrio, he provides some experience. I mean, he's over 30, and certainly at the beginning of the season, he was playing really well and scoring goals, providing assists. And to be honest, I don't know what the problem was with Lofaso.
It just seemed very strange to me. But maybe you've sort of called it there. If you have got quite a few young players there, maybe you need that blend of, like, I know it's a cliche, experience and youth to come together.
No, or maybe, I don't know, maybe he just didn't think he was ready, but I'm not aware of the reason why he was left out of the squad. Right. I haven't really seen much of him because he wasn't given a chance. So. Yeah,
and then broke his leg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another player I was going to ask you about, and I don't think he's made his debut yet, is Ricardo Sotil.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wondered where he stands at the minute. Sort of, I thought he would have had a debut by now.
I haven't heard too much about him, to be honest.
Right, okay.
I don't know whether Pioli was sort of thinking of introducing him or not, but I guess at the moment it's quite difficult because we have got this really united group, and I think it's going to be hard for other players to come into that because they are doing so well as a unit. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe we won't see him this season.
Probably, yeah. But Pioli, I mean, he's it hasn't been all attacking football, has it? But he's sort of, I'm not going to say grinded results out, but as you say, what were there 6 unbeaten before yesterday? Is that 7 unbeaten now?
Yeah, it is.
So he's got the results to back out his system, which isn't always popular with the fans, the Viola.
Yeah, I think he struggled at Inter. I think he did quite well at Lazio and Bologna, and I think Pioli's kind of found his fit at Fiorentina. He's found a club that works for him. It's the fans, they feel everything with their hearts there, and I think that because he used to play during the times of Batistuta through the 90s in that side, I think he understands a bit about the city and the supporters, and
that's definitely good.
He's done well. He's certainly got my respect for how he's handled this tragedy. I think he, I'd like him to stay, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that leads us on quite nicely to the next question that I had for you, really. How do you feel Fiorentina, considering the circumstances and all of that, but the season as a whole, are you quite happy as a Fiorentina fan with how things are going?
Yeah, I think it's a project. It's going to take some time. Yeah. The owners, they've made it quite clear that they're not going to put a load of money into the club. So if we can get into Europa League, that will be absolutely brilliant because it didn't look like we were going to. And I think playing in the Europa League will give some of the youngsters some good experience. So I'm huge. Quietly optimistic, really.
I was going to ask, is that still on the cards after the 0-0 draw with Spal at the weekend?
Yeah, I think just about. They're in 7th at the moment, sort of competing with Atalanta and Sampdoria, but they're ahead of that little pack of 3. So
in a home game against Lazio this week.
Yeah, I'm actually going to that one. So
nice one!
Wow,
great!
Fantastic.
I'm quite excited. So I think it'll be a tough game.
Yeah, but I noticed a couple of your ex-players were playing for Spal, Kurtic and Philippe.
Yeah.
So that must have been strange for them coming back. And apparently Spal brought a good away following, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
They have sort of two triangular shaped away sectors in the corner, and normally they only use one. But Spal filled them both up, and the away end was sold out.
Brilliant.
So that was fantastic for them.
We've sort of got a soft spot for Spal, me and Jim.
We do. We keep calling them our friends at Spal.
I know we're going to look at the fixtures. Actually. We're going to look at the fixtures, but Spal have got a vital one on Wednesday night against Chievo, who are just above them in the table.
Yeah. So, Semplici is used to coach the youth team at Fiorentina, and I really like him. I think he's a really good coach. He's really smart, and he's got Spal. He's got them defending really, really well. They're really tough to break down because obviously Fiorentina got the 0-0, and Juve did a little while ago as well. I have so much respect for him, and I hope they stay up because they seem like a really good club.
Yeah, we'll second them.
They're on a long run of draws, though. It's almost mirroring our own English passions.
Hard to beat, though, as Chloe says, and they're
that's right.
The goal difference is good compared to the other teams around.
Well, they're on. I've just got the table here: -22, Crotone in 18th on -28. So they have got a little bit of a cushion there. So talk us through what happened with the VAR incident during the game.
Okay. Well, it looked like it was with Felipe. It looked like he dived. That was my first reaction.
Yeah.
The referee immediately gave the penalty, and I think the commentator didn't. When I was watching it, didn't think it. He thought it was a penalty initially, and then he looked at the replay. But I thought it was a dive straight away. And then there was a bit of what normally happens, players surrounding the ref and all that. And then he ran off to the VAR, took one look at it and said no penalty, which I have to say was a lot smoother than it has been. We've seen with Fiorentina that there've been players standing waiting to take the penalty. On two occasions with Fiorentina, they've been standing waiting to take the penalty. While he's gone off, looked at the VAR, it's taken forever, and then he said, okay, yes, it is a penalty, but then the players waited so long that he's ended up missing.
Yeah, he's switched off,
It was a bit smoother at the weekend, I have to say, and I think if they can get it working a little bit faster, I do quite like it.
You've probably seen, Chloe, that the Premier League's voted against it for next season, and apparently two of them clubs were Manchester United and Chelsea, who voted against it. And me, sort of in my mind, as a bitter Sunderland supporter sort of thing, thought, is this because Man United and Chelsea get the decisions and so they don't want to be relying on VAR?
Yeah,
could that even it up,
Yeah.
But I thought it was a bit sort of, I don't know, they've said they're going to use it extensively in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup next season. So that's basically saying, do these competitions not matter if we're going to use them in that, So it's a bit of it's sending strange sort of signals out to me, sort of thing.
Yeah,
but,
agreed.
It was a big event with Gigi Buffon as well, wasn't there, through the week in the Champions League?
There was indeed,
Michael Oliver getting called all sorts of rude names, it has to be said.
Me personally, I thought Oliver got that spot on.
Do you know what I did as well?
I thought it was a penalty because a forward's allowed to stand his ground, and why would he go down there when he could have scored? And Buffon, who I rate really highly, absolute legend, went on like that, and Oliver just sort of kept calm, and he sent him off. And I totally agreed with that as well, because had he not, and then had Buffon saved the penalty, he would have come in for criticism, So I was fully behind Michael Oliver in that one. I think he's one of our better referees.
I think so. It's a real shame the way it all panned out, obviously, for Buffon and Juventus. I think a lot of the neutrals were quite keen on Juve getting the job done there, I think. But, I do think he made the right call in the end. So, looking at the Serie A table, Chloe, obviously the title race is still wide open, really, isn't it? Napoli just dropping a couple of points, but it's one of the few title races left open, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot in Europe have been, PSG have already won, City have already won, and I think Barcelona won't be too far behind them. But it's been really exciting this year in Serie A, and, Napoli have been pushing Juve all the way. I think they've, having watched Napoli's last couple of games, I think they may be on a downward turn, and I think Juve have got that experience to see out the title.
Yeah.
But they are playing each other next weekend, so anything could happen.
There's a full fixture list midweek as well, isn't there? We won't run through all the fixtures, but as you say, that's the big one on Saturday. Juve at home to Napoli. Yeah,
it should be fascinating. I mean, Napoli have got that style of play that everybody loves to watch. I think the problem for them is that to get that almost telepathic passing between them, the coach Maurizio Sarri has used an 11, and he just kept using them. And I think now it's coming to the end of the season, those players are getting tired. Yep. Whether I read something about Juve that in something like 46 games that Max Allegri had used 45 different lineups. So they've got much more. They're not as attractive to watch as Napoli, but they've got more. I wouldn't say necessarily more resources, because Napoli do have backup players, but I think for their system to work, they need those regular players in the side, whereas Juve are a little bit more flexible, adaptable, and of course they've got the experience of winning the last 6 titles in a row.
Just before we finish, Chloe, the Serie A at the weekend, I noticed there were, out of all the fixtures, there was 5 0-0 draws. The times I was growing up or something, all the Italian teams were. I used to love defenders who defended properly and that, long before the days of wing backs and things like that. You were a proper fullback, And I just wondered, is it still sort of big in Italy? Is your defence your sort of focal point first before you even think about attacking and that? It's with them 5 0-0 draws. It seems defence is still a big priority.
I don't know. I think in the last few years there's been more goals scored than ever in Serie A, and I think especially with bringing in more players from abroad, they do like to attack. I think it was perhaps a bit more of a freak at the weekend, I think still though, in the minds of coaches, that they do defend properly. I wouldn't say it's negative and defensive because of the number of goals that are scored, but I don't think the art of defending is dead completely in Serie A. Let's put it that way.
All right, Chloe, that's brilliant. But as I know Dave alluded to there, we're coming to an end of the Serie A section, but I've got one quick question for you here. It's an ongoing discussion that myself and Dave have on the podcast. Who would you rather have in your Fiorentina team? Would it be Paolo Dybala or Ciro Immobile? Different players, I know, but given the option, which one would you say?
Dybala.
No,
that's tough, because they're a different kind of player. But I would have to say, for Fiorentina, I'd have to say it would be Immobile.
Yes.
Just
let me down, Chloe. There, badly, mate.
Just because of his finishing at the moment. Anyway, I think Dybala has certainly got a lot more skill, but he's not the finished article yet. And he does occasionally sort of go missing in games, and judging purely on this season, you'd have to say Immobile, just because of his number of goals he's scored.
Yeah, he's having a great season, isn't he, Immobile?
Yeah.
All right, well, that is absolutely fantastic, Chloe. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. And I would love to touch base with you again at some point in the future if you'd be willing.
Absolutely fine.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Chloe. Take care.
Okay, no problem.
And welcome back to the Euro Fantasy League podcast. We're coming up to the team of the best team of the last week, Dave. But before then, I've kind of neglected my clues for you a little bit here, haven't I? So for the name game. So I'm going to start off with the fourth clue now, if that's all right with you. My spell at Brøndby was a successful one. I scored 2 goals in 119 games before Alex Ferguson brought me to England to sign for Man United in 1991. I was part of the first ever Premier League season where I won a winner's medal with the Red Devils, and I also featured in Denmark's Euro 92 winning campaign.
Yep, I've got it, but I'll not say it. I'll let people keep guessing.
I'll read a couple more clues out now. We'll do the team of the week, and then we'll come back.
I like to write it down. I'll wave this across the studio.
I trust you that you've got it. If you can spell it, I trust you.
I was going to say.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So I left
That's
Man
probably
United.
a clue in itself.
Yeah, that's right. I left Man United after their treble-winning season, moving to Sporting Clube de Portugal in 1999. I'd played 292 games for United, scoring 1 goal for them in the Champions League. And my son is also a Premier League winner.
Yep.
So there we go.
Just about to whisper, his son plays in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's right. Another Premier League winner. There's not many father-son combos that have both got Premier League titles, is there? There's going to be 1 or 2, but not too many. And I'll give you one more. After a couple of years in Portugal, I returned to England, signing for Aston Villa, and later did the unthinkable, joining Man City for a season before retiring. During my time at Aston Villa, I became the first of only 5 goalkeepers to date to score a Premier League goal. The other 4 are Brad Friedel, Paul Robinson, Tim Howard and Asmir Begovic. So we're going to go now just after a quick break, and when we come back we'll do the best 11 and then we'll get that game rounded off. And welcome back to the Euro Fantasy League podcast. And this is the bit, Dave, where we do the best 11 of the weekend. So we're just going to rattle through these ones, and then we're going to end the mystery that is shrouding this episode of the Euro Fantasy League podcast, the identity that I'm sure no one has guessed by now already. So we've gone for a 4-4-2, as is pretty much the norm. And in goal, it's a late addition at your request, this one, and I think it was well made. Ben Foster at West Brom.
Yeah, he pulled off some cracking saves at Old Trafford and got West Brom the 3 points. And enough said, he's always been a half-decent goalkeeper, and he's come up trumps on Saturday and kept his team in it at times.
Definitely has. 3 million, he got 7 points for that clean sheet, so well recommended. And then the first of our defenders was your request as well, but again, well made. Damian Suarez.
Yep, 29-year-old Uruguayan, and scored a cracker. About 30 yards out, 25, 30 yards when he hit that goal for the 1-0 win against Espanyol. And he's in there on merit.
Yeah, he definitely is. 2.5 million, 9 points. That was the goal in the clean sheet in the 1-0 win against Espanyol. And he's joined by Benedict Howidis at Juventus.
Yep, he's on loan from Schalke 04, a season-long loan, but it was only his second appearance.
I've got that highlighted here, that it was only his second game.
He's had injury after injury. I mean, he's a tough lad, versatile player, can play anywhere across the back 4, but his main position is centre-back, And as I say, injury after injury, and he's probably done himself no harm of earning a permanent deal, because I think he's keen to stay at Juve, and anyway, he came up trumps and did well at the weekend, but only his second appearance of a season.
That's great, isn't it? I mean, he got the goal, the clean sheet. He did lose one for a booking in that 3-0 win against Sampdoria. So then in defence, we've got Ben Foster's teammate Craig Dawson, 2 million, 5 points.
Yep, again done well. So enough said of that. They got the win at Old Trafford, and he's been part of that group that's done that.
Yep, that's right. And then making up the defence, we've got Raul Navas, 3 million, 5 points.
Centre-back, 29-year-old, and the Sociedad won at Las Palmas 1-0, and he's kept a clean sheet and he's earned his points.
So there you go, Raul Navas rounding up the defence. So in midfield, we've gone fairly Premier League heavy, I've got to say. It was more so than I realised initially. Wilfried Zaha at Palace. 2 million, 7 points. You've already spoke about him before. He's just a great player, isn't
Quality, and he's a major plus when he's in the Palace side, and I think we've said the points total with him in the side is much better than when he's out of the side.
Far better. He did lose one for a booking though in that 3-2 win. He's joined by another player we've already mentioned that you touched on earlier, Roberto Firmino. Liverpool, 9.5 million, 6 points, a goal and the clean sheet in that 3-0 win over Bournemouth. Then we've got Tom Ince, another player we've already mentioned, Huddersfield, 4 million, 6 points.
He was highly rated before he came to Huddersfield, and it was a bit of money it cost them for him to come there. And but hasn't been a regular, but came off the bench, and his 91st or 92nd minute winner could have a bearing whether Huddersfield stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, it was a massive 3 points, that was. And then rounding up the midfield, Angel Correa, Atletico Madrid, 4 million, 8 points, goal, clean sheet and the assist in the 3-0 win against Levante.
Yeah, 23-year-old. Argentinian, previously with San Lorenzo, and there you go.
There we go. So, Angel Correa. Up front, Matteo Politano at Sassuolo.
Yeah, right winger he is, decent right winger as well, and previously with Pescara, 24-year-old, and Yep, he's done well as well.
He has 6.5 million, 8 points. That's 2 goals in the 2-2 draw with Benevento. And he's joined up front by one of our weekend winners, Olivier Giroud. It was a choice between Giroud or Diabate to put in here, to be honest.
Right.
They were kind of chop and change. I just went with Giroud because we had Diabate in there in the last one.
Because he only came on as a sub, and you like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know that's my favourite type of impact. So Chelsea, 10 million, 8 points, 2 goals in that 3-2 win at Southampton. So that rounds up the best 11 of the past week. So should we get the name game finished off before we sign off?
Do you want me to tell people who it is?
I haven't finished yet. I've got more clues to come. I'm going to give you
hair?
No, I'm not going to say that at all. I was known throughout my time in England as the Great Dane, even spawning a namesake character, a dog, on Coronation Street, which is, I'm sure, the highlight of his career. And my son, who I mentioned before, also played for Man City, but he ended up winning the Premier League title at Leicester. His name is Casper.
Yeah.
So come on then, Dave. Who
Peter Schmeichel.
Peter Schmeichel. See, I tried, I think that's good. I deliberately threw in the 6 goals in 78 games for Vidovra, hoping to put you on the wrong track. And it did briefly, but it didn't take you long to get back on track there. So yes, Peter Schmeichel.
It's that garden path again. You like leading us a little bit.
I do. It's,
will I get out the studio alive?
I don't know. I spend a lot of time on that garden path.
Yeah.
So yeah. And anyway, that'll do, I think, before I get myself into any more trouble with, you or my wife. So I'm going to sign off there, and with, please remember to play the game, EuroFantasyLeague.com, and the league-specific games.
And thanks for Chloe Beresford for coming in, I'm
coming on to that as well, yep. And get in touch with us on social media. We're at EuroFantasyPod. I'm at JamClean1984. And Dave over there is at Davey Fennick. You can email us, eurofantasypod@gmail.com, and check us out on iHeartRadio as well as all the other usual formats. And as Dave just said there, a big thank you to Chloe Beresford for taking the time to come on and fill us in, quite frankly, educate us a little bit on the workings of Serie A. So I really hope you enjoy the match as well, Chloe, that you go to. I think we're a little bit jealous in this studio getting over to that one. So you enjoy it, and thank you very, very much for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. We're back on schedule now, so we'll be back with you in a couple of weeks' time.